Hello. So today I'm going to talk to you about Pixton 2.0, which is a web tool in which you can create comics and storyboards. Overall, it is an interactive tool to create those comics and storyboard. It is web-based, although it does have some printable features. It can be used in all subject areas and in all grade levels. It has a free version and a paid version. Today, I'm really mostly going to be focusing on the free version since that's what most of us would be geared towards, but the paid version does have some neat elements that would be fun to explore. As far as accessibility goes, it is for students in K through 12 and beyond. When you look at it, it's actually advertised on its website that businesses could use it as a tool too. It very strongly supports visual learners, and students with hearing impairments also have the ability to read the content right off the stream, off the page. It requires the use of some type of device. It can be a computer, tablet, phone. All of those are applicable, but it is computer and internet driven. It is adaptable with other languages. And then I looked up a blog about this from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where students were evaluating accessibility features of tools online. And in terms of accessibility, this is what they found. It is unclear whether this website is navigable by keyboard or accessible by screen readers. I contacted the owners to inquire about accessibility, but did not receive a response. The great thing about this tool is that overall it makes learning more accessible to students. And I wouldn't say that this is limited just to students with disabilities. I would say that this is a tool that many students, especially those who support the visual learning, would benefit from. As far as the content goes, Pixton has a library of lessons that they have uploaded some lessons themselves, other teachers have, just to give you ideas of how it could be used in so many different areas. So I just created 3 examples of how it could be used, and there are so many more out there, but this is just 3 ways I thought of. So I thought Pixton would be great for making different social stories. So many students, especially those with autism and anxiety, benefit from social stories which graphically depict how to act in certain situations. So they don't necessarily know and then don't feel in control. We can give students an idea about how to handle something, they may feel that they can have better control and take the action that they need to. So then the story that I created was some student who was studying in geometry, and they were talking to their case manager about how overwhelmed they were, and they just feel like they couldn't do it. And so this visually walks through the discussion that they could have and how they could handle the situation. In the end is the action mode where the student asks and they find out it looks good and the problem is solved. So one example, social stories. Another is taking reading challenging text and breaking it down into more accessible language. So for this one, with my seniors at high school, we read Hamlet, and the language is very challenging to read. So if we talked about the idea of the impossibility of certainty, we thought of different acts or scenes where students could visually portray what was going on and how that shows uncertainty. They can also change it to language that makes more sense to them. Third example is breaking down concepts. So similarly to when we have graphic organizers or concept maps and we break down the big ideas, this could be done visually using Pixton. So for example, I teach government. So if I want students to look at the 3 different branches and their major functions, students could kind of show me what do they think is most important about each branch and describe it below. And then as I'm reviewing what they've created, it's also helpful for me to fill in any gaps or clarify any misconceptions that they might have. So this is just 3 examples, but there's definitely an infinite number of ways that this could be utilized. All right, so then now we're going to evaluate some of the features. As far as user friendliness, I have found that students feel that they can navigate it around pretty easily. They can change the setting, the characters and props, including facial expressions. They can add speech and thought bubbles. They can caption it below, and then they can add actions. I have always given some kind of tutorial or walkthrough just because it is something new to students, so they're initially can be a little bit hesitant, but I do work with students on IEPs in grade 12 who are not usually open to trying new things and can be very intimidated by that process. I have found that students, once they start playing around with it, they generally do fine and can get what they need. So that's kind of a nice tool. And it's nice to let them try that independence and really play around because sometimes they're so eager for you to help that I think this is a good tool that you could use to make them a bit more independent in what they're working on. It promotes student-centered learning. The students are creating the product and kind of exploring the topic they're engaging with. And it does have a help feature, Messenger, and a question mark in the bottom of the screen where you can ask questions, and then there's also a bunch of different help articles as well. As far as management features, teachers can create assignments that are tailored to the students and or classes with whom they work. This could be as open-ended as tell me any kind of story you want, or more specific, tell me about the role the president plays. So I think it's nice that it has that variety where it could be very open-ended, as well as focusing more on specific topics or ideas. And really, it does a nice job of encouraging creativity to show that understanding. Pixton offers rubrics that educators can use, and people can create their own. It helps establish clear expectations, and it makes giving and receiving feedback easier. And then teachers also have the same access that their students do, so they can make models so students have an idea of what they're doing. And then I just wanted to show a quick sample assignment that I've created that has evolved over the years using this software. So I teach Essentials English, which is English to students on IEPs in the 12th grade. And we read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers. So one of the habits is talking about creating win-win situations. So throughout the chapter, they learn about the different situations that can occur when interacting with other people on situations in which they don't agree. The ultimate goal being the win-win. So when I do this assignment, students have to create comics where they display each type of situation. And then they have to explain to me why their situation is a win-win or win-lose, etc. And then I create a rubric to show my expectations so they know exactly what I want. And you can decide, like, what is the main focus of yours. I put a point in there for creativity because I want them to really look at the details. Are they creating a vivid story, not super basic? The characters and dialogues, are they interacting? Are they showing growth or development? And then specifically, did they meet the requirements and really understand what each of those scenarios are? And spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Although I would not say this is the largest priority, I think it's also important that we stress to our students that when they are creating a finished work, like if they were to publish this as a comic book person, that they have information included that is spelled right and looks like a polished product. So that's just one example of how you could use Pixton Comics in a class while including rubrics to make sure that the expectations are clear. As far as support materials go, the website is available for teachers, students, and parents to use, and it has help for all of those available. It includes a walkthrough, especially for the first time when you start engaging and creating your comics. There's a Help Center messenger, which I alluded to earlier, that can answer questions. You can access the pre-made content packs, so they have some on Black History Months, animals, and all of the people, the characters, the props are all really geared towards that topic. They're very nice, but expensive. So I only pretty much focus on the free stuff. There are help articles and tutorials, and then just in general, across the internet, there are many resources available on how to use it or ideas on how to use it. So then this is straight from their website. These are some of the frequently asked questions. And then there is 5 other options if you still need more help for what you're going to be doing on the way. So overall, I felt when I was using this, I did try the free premium version. There's a lot of help, and they try to follow up with you a lot. But even on the free version, I felt I could answer all my questions and get anything I needed. Students felt pretty well supported too. All right, so now let's actually check it out. Pixton.com is what you would type, and then you decide educators, students, parents, or business. One neat thing is that when Pixton recreated this is kind of like their second big version of the software. They added some really neat features that even my older students really enjoyed. So one is that they get to create their own avatar. So here's my class. Don't worry, first names only. And these are the avatars they created for themselves. And some of them chose to make them look like them, some chose to make them look completely different. And then they get a class photo, which you can print all of this out. And one thing that's fun too is that students, as they create their comics, can draw in people from the class and make them characters in it, which they got a big kick out of. And then when students actually created their comics, they were available all to see on here. I liked this because it was very easy to find them. Initially, I had to upload the link for each comic, which was a pain. But now I can see anyone who's part of my class. And then what I did with this is I would take a screenshot of each comic, put it up on the board, and the students had to guess what kind of situation it was. So it was another way to kind of check each other without using names, but to see, did they really understand, and did the class agree and be able to determine which kind of situation it was too. So that was just one of the many different ways that you can use Pixton. I think it is a good software that is available that teachers would generally benefit in most classes from being able to use. Here are the few content packs. There's a bunch of them, and you can determine them by subject or grade level. Again, those do cost money, but good to know in case that's something that you think would be beneficial to you. So I hope you learned something, and that appreciate you watching my video. Take care.